is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavela and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. 3 coal shipments to arrive in the island in January. Power Minister says electricity tariff revisions only to cover cost. Final draft of the National Agricultural Policy completed. Special train to carry vegetables, fruits and flowers from Nanoya. Foreign news, U.S. Supreme Court keeps Trump-era border policy in place. In sports, Novak Djokovic lands in Australia after ban overturned. Local news in detail now. Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that 3 coal ships are scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka on the 5th, 9th and 16th of January. At a press conference held yesterday, Minister Wijesekara said they are trying to bring 7 more shipments of coal. The minister also said that the proposal related to increasing the electricity bill will be submitted to the Cabinet on the 2nd of January. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that if the electricity bill is not increased, people will have to get used to the daily power cuts of a few hours. Further commenting on this, the minister said, although some have accused that the electricity bill will be increased to compensate for the losses incurred by the electricity board in the past, if such a decision is taken, the price will have to be increased significantly. Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara stressed that the increase in the electricity tariff must be done in order to provide continuous electricity supply. The minister further said that if the electricity bill is not increased, the wishes of the electrical engineers will be fulfilled. The minister said this while attending a special press conference held at the Power and Energy Ministry yesterday. Further commenting on this, the minister mentioned that although some have accused that the electricity bill will be increased to cover the losses incurred in the past, if such a decision is taken, the price will have to be increased in a big way. But the increase in the electricity bill is done to cover the cost of electricity generation in 2023, he said. The minister further said that in the amendment of the electricity bill, direct financial support will be given to low-income families and also concessions that can be given in relation to religious places and factories will be discussed with the relevant responsible departments. The expert committee appointed to prepare the National Agricultural Policy informed the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, says that the final draft of the National Agricultural Policy, which has been a deficiency in the agricultural sector in this country for many years, has been completed. A discussion with the expert committee and the minister and officials of the ministry was held yesterday at the Ministry of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Mahinda Amaravira, had instructed the Ministry of Agriculture to appoint a committee consisting of scholars to represent all sectors to prepare the national policy. Accordingly, former Agriculture Director Generals, Ministry Secretaries as well as university professors and agricultural representatives were included in the committee. Senior Professor Buddhi Marambe, Professor Udit Jayasinghe, Professor Palitha Veerakkodi, Professor M.B. Ratnatilaka, Dr. B.V.R. Punyavardhana, Dr. D.S. Kurupuarachi, former Director Generals of Agriculture, Dr. Ajantha De Silva, and Dr. W.M.M. Veerakone also belong to this committee. In particular, Minister Mahinda Amaravira had instructed this committee to get opinions and suggestions from all sectors in order to formulate a permanent agricultural policy and that does not change from government to government and from minister to minister. Accordingly, the expert committee also stated that they received ideas and suggestions for the development of the agriculture sector so that every sector is represented. However, the minister said that the final draft will be submitted to the Parliament for approval and after that, everyone should work for the implementation of the new Agriculture Act. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. We continue with more stories here at home. Transporting of vegetables from upcountry areas to Colombo Fort by train commenced yesterday afternoon after 23-year hiatus. According to a proposal submitted by President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the interim budget presented to the Parliament recently, 5 special compartments have been prepared for transporting vegetables by train by the Railway Department's Sales and Marketing Division. As a pilot project, the transportation of vegetables from the Nanu Oya railway station to Colombo Fort started at 5 p.m. yesterday, and the special train is scheduled to reach Colombo Fort at 12 midnight. Railway Department's Sales and Marketing Department Deputy Director Sanka Samarasinghe said that train will transport vegetables to the supermarkets and the Manning Market in Colombo. The Commissioner General of the Election Commission, Saman Sri Ratnayaka, says that the funds have been allocated from the Treasury to hold local government elections. The local government elections should be held before the 19th of next March. He said that 10 billion rupees had been allocated for the election in the 2023 budget. He said this while speaking to the media after a conference held in Nuwara. That's local news for the moment.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, with the funding through the USAID, will distribute 36,000 metric tons of triple superphosphate fertilizer to all paddy farmers in Sri Lanka through the Ministry of Agriculture. The amount of TSP provided per farmer will be determined based on the area they cultivated in the 2022-2023 Maha season cultivation. The distribution list, along with the land extent cultivated during this Maha season used to determine the amount of TSP fertilizer allocated per farmer, has been published and displayed at all agrarian service centres of the Department of Agrarian Development. The FAO invited all eligible paddy farmers to visit their respective agrarian service centre and ensure their details have been incorporated. The distribution list will be displayed until the 5th of January 2023, and the date of fertilizer distribution will be shared through the agrarian service centres.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB, with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
And on Watch Live, Professor Vasanta Athukorala of Peradeniya University's Department of Economics and Statistics says, according to the reports of the Police Department, in the first 11 months of this year, there have been 3,556 kidnapping and 1,466 vehicle thefts. He said that 799 kidnappings have been reported in 2020 and 835 in 2021, and there is a clear increase in the data this year. Motorcycles and three-wheelers are the most stolen vehicles. Professor Athukorala stated that 39% of the stolen vehicles were reported from the Western Province, 14% from the Northwestern Province and 13% from the Southern Province.
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB, with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
World News headlines: U.S. Supreme Court keeps Trump-era border policy in place. Russia bans oil sales to countries using price cap. Southwest Airlines in USA cancels thousands of flights amid storm chaos. World News in detail. The U.S. Supreme Court has voted to keep in place a controversial Trump-era policy that blocked thousands of people from crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. Title 42 gives the government power to automatically expel undocumented migrants seeking entry. The potential lifting of the policy had prompted concerns that the number of migrants at the border would rise. The Biden administration said it would comply with the ruling but call for reform of immigration policy. Russia has banned oil sales to countries and companies that comply with the price cap agreed by Western nations earlier this month. The price cap, which was agreed by the G7 group of nations, Australia and the EU, came into force on the 5th of December. The cap prohibits countries from paying more than $60 per barrel of Russian oil. Russia has now said its oil and oil products will not be sold to anyone imposing the price cap. The presidential decree, which said the ban would take effect for 5 months from the 1st of February until the 1st of July. Finally, on world news, thousands of travelers are stranded at airports across the U.S. as flight cancellations and delays continue to wreak havoc amid a deadly winter storm. By mid-afternoon Eastern Time on Tuesday, nearly 4,900 flights had been cancelled and over 4,400 delayed. Over 60% of the cancellations were from hard-hit Southwest Airlines, which called off over 2,500 flights. The chaos has left thousands of exasperated passengers sleeping in terminals as they search for solutions. More than 3,500 flights scheduled to leave Wednesday have already been cancelled, according to flight tracking service Flight Airware. That's on World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Listening, the trusted leader.
Development News.
Sri Lanka's 9-month government revenue this year rose compared to last year's levels as the economy inflated amid the runaway prices and tax revenues started flowing as a result of the hike in the indirect taxes such as the value-added taxes which came into effect from June. The central bank data showed that the government collected 1,450.4 billion rupees in the 9 months compared to 1,052.2 billion rupees in the same period last year. That's on development news. Moving on to sports news and on tennis stories. Novak Djokovic has been welcomed back into Australia almost a year after he was deported over his COVID vaccine status. Officials confirmed the 21-time Grand Slam champion, who's 35, had landed in the country for January's Australia Open. Serb Djokovic, a 9-time Australian Open winner, had an automatic 3-year visa ban overturned in November. Moving on to American football, J.J. Watt, considered one of the NFL's greatest ever defensive players, has announced he will retire at the end of the current season. The Arizona Cardinals defensive end, who's 33, was voted NFL Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Watt spent a decade with the Houston Texans before joining Arizona in 2021. That's on sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest, an interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Himal Siripala de Silva, has instructed the officials to start the development work of the Jaya terminal, where the construction has stopped, as soon as possible. Currently, the length of that terminal is 1,260 meters. Its length will be about 1,380 meters after its completion. The number of containers handled per year at the terminal is 2 million. $32 million will be spent for this. This cost is made from the surplus of the Ports Authority. Meanwhile, the construction of the Eastern Terminal is also underway.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest, an interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
And on economic news, the Ministry of Agriculture says that 4 institutions under the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Resources Conservation have earned a record income this year. This was revealed in the progress review meeting chaired by Minister of Agriculture, Wildlife and Forest Conservation, Mahinda Amaravira. Accordingly, by October this year, the Department of Wildlife Conservation earned 1,291.8 million rupees. The Department of National Zoological Gardens earned 414.2 million rupees. The Department of Forest Conservation earned 672 million rupees and the State Timber Corporation earned 4,316 million rupees. That's on economic news. Moving on to the weather update.
Weather report.
Several spells of light showers will occur in northern, north-central, eastern and over provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in western, Saparagamu and northwestern provinces and in Gola and Mathura districts during the afternoon and night. That's the weather update. Before we wind up this bulletin of news, back to the headlines. 3 coal shipments to arrive in the island in January. Power Minister says electricity tariff revisions only to cover cost. Final draft of the National Agricultural Policy completed. Special train to carry vegetables, fruits and flowers from Nanoya. Foreign news, US Supreme Court keeps Trump-era border policy in place. In sports news, Novak Djokovic lands in Australia after ban overturned. And with that, we conclude the morning bulletin of news.